Well. Welcome on into Sports Talk with Bros. It's the morning after we got the big news yesterday. James Harden is your Philadelphia 76er. It's ridiculous. Honestly, it still feels like a dream. I feel numb to this all, but I'm super stoked. Here we have it. Ben Simmons is out of town, and I hate to start this off by going down this path, but it truly is despicable what he did by telling the world that he couldn't play basketball due to a mental health issue and all of this, yet he's going to go to Brooklyn, he's going to fly around town, he's going to be with his teammates, and everything's going to be all great and dandy. It's a slap in the face to people who deal with some real issues out there, and we questioned it at the time. And reasonably so. There was a reason why we felt the way that we did, and it's pretty much being played out the way we thought it would. He'll be fine in Brooklyn no matter where he is other than Philadelphia. He's going to go on the floor, and he's going to compete. But it's a slap in the face for everyone out there who really, truly does go through the mental health stuff, and they have to battle every day. This guy's pretty much just using it as an excuse so he can get to where he wants to be, and that is so ridiculous. See, that's where I just hope at the end of the day that it takes care of itself, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you're going to get paid back for going down that path and making up that story because it's awful. And I just can't stand Ben Simmons. He's a hate the face. He's a fraud. Looking at his image with that Brooklyn Nets logo on every single platform. You see ESPN or NBA TV, or whether it's the TNT crew and the fellas talking about it, Kevin Durant and LeBron James. And by the way, I can't believe that this actually happened to me. And yes, we are live right now, going live on YouTube. We have the anytime hotline open. If you want to hop in and talk, we can do that. I have a bunch of voicemails as well to react to. So whatever we do today, we definitely will hear your thoughts on the James Harden situation. But the phone line is now open at 856-442-9805. I actually had someone in my comment section say that they are unhappy with the trade. And the reason why they don't like it is because James Harden clearly doesn't have respect in the All-Star game. So who's going to have respect on the 76ers roster in the locker room? Now, are you serious? And I am seeing more upset fans than I thought I would when it comes to compensation and what Daryl Morey put on display, or what he traded and put out there. Seth Curry, Andre Drummond. Look, you traded someone who was unhappy and wanted out of town. You traded a backup center, and you traded a nice starting two guard, a nice, maybe even a nice bench player, a nice sixth man. If Seth Curry's your sixth man, you're in a good position. But because the Brooklyn Nets lost a Joe Harris and he's banged up and he's not capable of performing right now, so you gave up a nice guard, a backup center, and someone who doesn't want to play the sport of basketball. You kept Tyrese Maxey, you kept Matisse Thybulle, and you still have the young players that everyone was afraid of losing at the time of the speculation that went down. So in what universe here should we be bothered with the competition? This is honestly one of those where I go, okay, I can see this. This makes sense. James Harden, he's capable of giving you more than 22, 10, and 8. But right now, during his down season, that's what is his statistics. We know that he could be a top player in this league. And for everyone writing him off because of where he's at in his age and all of it, you probably thought the same thing about Chris Paul. Now, I was someone back in the day who didn't want to give up a 21, 22-year-old Ben Simmons for a Chris Paul. And now at the time, that's somewhat laughable. But now it's laughable. But at the time, it made a lot of sense because we were not aware of this. And we did not see this in our future, where Ben Simmons wouldn't even be willing to show his face in front of anyone in this city and run away like the scared individual that he is. But that's totally different than where James Harden is. And I'm taking this risk any day of the week. Is there a risk involved? And are you thinking about a bigger contract? And he clearly opted into his contract for next season. So you're not worried that he leaves you in a situation at the end of this year. But ultimately, with James Harden, with where he's at right now, this is a calculated risk that you should be willing to take. I had a buddy in my group chat go off last night and go, are you kidding me? I'd rather have Tyrese Halliburton. And I'm going, what? Tyrese Halliburton, you'd rather have him? And the response was, well, because I want to see this team grow. After 3 years, what are you going to have compared to with Halliburton? You'll be good for the years after that. Dude, what is your agenda right now? What are you trying to pursue? Are you trying to keep 5-year window, 6, 7, 8-year window in mind? Or is it time to put your foot on the gas? Sometimes it's in that let's get ready to go mode. And when Joel Embiid plays the way that he's playing right now, it's pretty obvious. You just go do it. You attack. Don't worry about 7 years from now with Tyrese Halliburton. You got to maximize what you have right now. It's rare to have a Joel Embiid playing this special. And if you finally have it, then go grab it. What are we doing here? It's not even a question. Tyrese Halliburton, that's really the debate you're having with yourself internally? That's fraudulent. That's terrible. What's not terrible, though, is going to the phone lines, and I'm excited to speak with everybody today. Let's do that. Let's take our first caller this morning. I got my cup of joe. If you've been hanging around Coffee with Broads the last couple of days, I do have my coffee machine hanging out with me to my left, so I'm excited for that, but I'm excited to speak to all you guys out there today as well. Let's kick things off. Yo, you are on with Broads. How are you this morning?
Good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, excellent. I was going to say, I don't get why people are throwing a big hissy fit about this. You had to make this trade. You had to. Like, we haven't beat it like right at its prime. We got a great guard that we actually can shoot the ball for once, spread the floor. I mean, I feel bad that we had to lose two of Seth and Andre, but you had to do this. And in every trade, you're going to give up some stuff. So I'm very happy with the trade, and I can't wait to see Harden in his first game.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. It's what did you want them to do, right? So the same people that are upset they gave up Seth Curry and Andre Drummond, which is crazy to be mad about, would be the same people upset at Daryl Morey if he wasn't going to make a trade, and then they'd say you wasted Joel Embiid. So you can't have it both ways here. This, to me, if you fully just take away the emotions of being a 76ers fan and you look at the package, I feel this is a package that kind of makes sense for both sides. I don't think one team overpaid. I think this is one where it's reasonably paid for both teams.
Agreed. I mean, the only small thing that I have in the back of my head is Harden's health. If you're going to have any hamstring issues down the road, and is he going to throw another hissy fit if he doesn't get his way maybe next year?
Sure.
Other than that, I mean, you had to make this, and this is a great pickup. I can't wait to see him.
Absolutely, man. I agree. Thank you so much for taking the time to call in. And yes, is there a risk involved with injury? No doubt. But everybody is going to possibly get injured when playing the sport of basketball. This can literally happen to anybody out there. So it's one of those things where I'm willing to take that risk. You all have to take risks. Everyone praises. It's funny. Even the people disappointed right now, they praise the Toronto Raptors for their ability to land a Kawhi Leonard. And that's all great and dandy. We're cool with that because they won a championship. But before they won a championship, they blew up some important pieces and they looked in a new direction. But from an outside looking in perspective, everyone's cool with it. One, because it's not their team they're emotionally tied to. But we didn't know they were going to win a championship. They took a risk on a Kawhi Leonard and it benefited them. You have to sometimes put your testicles on the table. That's just reality of the situation. And if your big splash here is like, hey, we're going to acquire James Harden. I mean, it's like that. That's really that mind blowing. The fact that this, like, that's putting your testicles on the table like that much. We're going to put James Harden with Joel Embiid. I mean, there's way more risks out there than you can take other than that. Sure, there's something to it. And the hamstring, how much of it was the hamstring? I mean, you saw the reaction yesterday of Kevin Durant and LeBron James as they were picking their all-star game or all-star team, and they have the clipboard over their face and they're mocking it and they're talking about the situation. I mean, they're fully aware of where everything is at right now. And I think that there is definitely a reach in terms of the hamstring and where James Harden is at fully. I don't know. I haven't seen anything when he's going to play. Obviously, they played tonight against the OKC Thunder, and we're going to be reacting to that as well. That's going to be just a different feel, a different environment for sure. And how painful must this be? Let's say you're Seth Curry. Let's say you're Andre Drummond. This dude just left you out to dry in Philadelphia, and now you need to be his teammate where he will be on the floor. He will show his face, right? So he's going to be fine in Brooklyn, and this dude just literally destroyed it. He's the reason why you got traded. He was so selfish and so embarrassing and so pathetic and such a fraud and such a joke and a loser that he got you traded away from Philadelphia. Now, not a huge distance where they're going, not a far travel, heading just up to 95 there, going to Brooklyn. So not the worst case in the world. But come on, now he's got to be your teammate, and now you have to hang out with him, and everything's going to be all great and dandy? Now, if I remember Seth Curry's reactions throughout the whole entire thing, he's one of those where he's a man on a mission with his own mindset, where I don't give a damn about anybody else. I'm worried about myself, and that's fine. I get it. I think you handle yourself professionally within this situation, but it's funny how Seth Curry and Andre Drummond have to handle themselves professionally, while the reason you're there to begin with is because one fool wouldn't. And I'm sure that would irritate them no matter how much they hide it. But we'll go right back to the phones here. Hey, what's going on, man? You're on with Broads.
Hey, bros, it's me again from last night.
Hey,
How
man.
are you again?
I'm good. I'm having my cup of coffee. We're talking some 76ers. How you feeling now that you had a whole night to sleep on it?
Feeling really good. Just excited that I get to go to a game tonight. Get to possibly see Harden. If he doesn't play, he'll probably definitely be on the bench.
Yeah, I honestly haven't seen anything yet in regards to where James Harden's status currently is. But anyway, I think the emotions, even though it's OKC, the emotions of what transpired yesterday and just the feel and the energy around the stadium is going to be magnificent. I'm jealous that you get to enjoy that.
Exactly. Two things I wanted to ask you. How do you feel about Harden taking Drummond's number?
Oh, that doesn't bother me. I mean, you got to pick some sort of number. I don't get too fed up with that type of stuff.
And another question I had is, how do you feel about LeBron taking Giannis over KD? Over Joel in the All-Star game?
Yeah, I mean, that's all. Thank you so much for the phone call. Once again, that type of stuff doesn't bother me too much. It's just all fun and games. And if you told me in an All-Star game you'd rather have Giannis than Joel Embiid, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, okay, Joel goes and he's going to play with Kevin Durant. I don't really have too many emotions with it, but I do appreciate the phone call, and I hope you really enjoy your time down there at the Wells Fargo Center tonight, because I'd imagine that there's going to be a lot of fun energy in there, a lot of high fives with the people next to you. That's such a great experience. I remember back in the day when it would happen for the Fly Guys. They stink and they suck, so it doesn't matter anymore. But if you think about, there's a big three, the other team calls timeout, you look around, you give some high fives, beers flying all around, you know what I mean? It's a great atmosphere for sure, so definitely enjoy your time. We got basically a $3 donation here, a $2.79 donation, if you will, from Wade. Post-trade, who is winning MVP, Embiid or the Joker? I mean, if Embiid plays the way that he has played all season long, then it's still going to be him. I can't see a way that it's not, with what he has done to this point and the dominance that he's been playing with. Not to say the Joker hasn't, but I think it's Joel Embiid's MVP trophy to lose. And even after post-trade, I don't anticipate this thing going in any other direction. Obviously, James Harden can score, but you lose Seth Curry scoring. That has to go somewhere. So if that now 12, 13, 14 points gets added to James Harden, then Harden obviously adds 10 or more. I still see Joel Embiid dropping 35, 36, 34, 38, 41, 42. I don't see that changing whatsoever. And by the way, you actually have an individual now who can pass the basketball. The dude averages 10 assists. And I really do believe, honestly, that right now we're not even appreciating his ability to dish the rock as well as he does. It's like, oh yeah, he averages 10 assists, but he likes to play isolation ball and break down defenders at the top of the perimeter until the shot clock expires. Then he either gets fouled as he's driving or he takes a random three. That's how people envision him. There's a lot more to James Harden's game than just that. He can run the floor. Now, he's not like a Chris Paul floor general, if you will. Like Chris Paul, he was born with those genes. He was born with the ability to slow everything down and just have it full throttle, point guard. Like, you had James Harden at one point kind of transition, and he's phenomenal at it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking it or downplaying what he can do, but I'm just saying, like, it's not Chris Paul level of floor general, but it's a different style that still has the ability to really change what this team can bring. And it's fantastic for sure. So don't downplay the 10 assists either. I think that is just not being discussed enough. And it's a fantastic part of his game. And we couldn't even make passes into the post. Let that sink in. how many games are we describing Joel Embiid with post-up play here, and he's got his position where he wants to be. He's basically underneath the basket. He's begging. He's crying, give me the ball. You can't even pass it right. I really like this team at the moment with James Harden and his ability to kind of settle things down and make the passes that he needs to make. And let's say that they're having trouble. What happens in the NBA when you're in a position where you need help getting buckets? Oh, that's right. Give it to a player who can beat players one-on-one by creating their own shots. Ding, ding, ding. You now have that. You have the ability to absolutely 1,000% do that. The chat's going wild here. Danny Green always been streaky. One game phenomenal. Next game 0-3. Yeah, I don't know where the Danny Green style is going to fit, honestly. It's going to be a position where I think it's all matchup based. See, we've kind of went over the hypothetical starting rotation, if you will. And is it something along the lines of Harden, Maxey, Green, or Thibault starting at that 3 with Tobias and Embiid? That's probably what it's going to be. I mean, the other alternative would be you have Harden at your 1, you have Thibault at your 2, Green at your 3, Maxey's your 6th man, and Green doesn't play full starter minutes, to be fair, but that's kind of what you could do in theory. And then that's your starting 5, and you bring in Maxey off the bench to be a scorer and be that threat. And then, of course, maybe you could stagger some of these lineups, whether it's Tobias Harris, Embiid going to the bench, and Maxey's out there, and, kind of find your way through. Or Harden, you know what I mean? You got a combination here where there should never be an all-bench lineup, even though we are all fully aware that there's 1,000%, 10,000%, a billion% chance that we will see a situation of an all-bench lineup. Unfortunately, there's just nothing we can do about it. Let's rock an anytime hotline call here. You can call into the show, by the way, at 856-442-9805, but we also have a bunch of voicemails as well, people reacting last night to what the situation was. And yeah, I mean, it was a wild day for sure. It's one of those moments in sports talk radio and in just Philadelphia sports fandom. It reminds me of, and it's a little bit different due to where Bryce Harper is in his career. But when Bryce Harper signed, it was just this incredible feeling. Everyone's stoked. Everyone's all happy. The vibes are great. Social media is flying around town. And it made me wonder what happened back in the day when this type of noise happened and this type of news occurred, right? When there was no social media? How did it happen? Like, what was the reactions all like? It's crazy to think about. All right. You got a caller. Here we go. You're on with Broads. Good morning.
Hey, Broads. It's Frank. I talked to you yesterday, remember?
Yeah. What's up, Frank?
Hey. No, good morning. Good morning. Listen, got a question for you, and I haven't checked. Harden's not going to play tonight, correct? Or probably this weekend?
I don't anticipate it happening, but I haven't seen anything in regards to his status and what will happen coming up here.
Because, he's been out with that hamstring tightness.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I like how you threw that in there. I don't know what the hamstring tightness really is.
Right. And what are you worried? Because now, here's the thing. Do you think Harden failing in the playoffs is overrated, or do you think it's a legitimate question?
I think it's overrated, and here's why. Everyone grows, right? That's like holding Joel Embiid to the standard of when they lost to the Toronto Raptors or when they lost in previous exits. It's all part of players. It's funny. We love Michael Jordan to death, as we should. He's one of the greatest, if not the greatest in most people's eyes to do it. But he failed over and over and over again against Detroit to get to his ultimate goal. And yeah, I get it. He's older in his career now and whatnot. But the difference is now that you're playing with Embiid, before it was all on him to go do it in a game 7 or in a big moment. Now you have the ability to play with Embiid where it's not putting everything on his shoulders to go be that guy. So I think it's a bit overrated. He's had moments before where he's failed, no doubt about it, but you're in a different spot in your career, and each playoff series and each team you play with is a totally different beast and a totally different identity, and he gets a shot now to do it with a dude playing at an MVP level where how can I compare that to previous situations that he was in?
Yeah, and I think in the NBA, not to take your time, I think in the NBA, more than any other league, you have to go through the downs before you get to the ups, like in the playoffs. It seems like guys fail 4, 5, 6 times before they finally get that ring.
You know why? Because in this league, it's a grown man's league, and you win when you're in that 28 to 34. Like, you need those. How many 22-year-olds will your team do a championship? It's funny. The Phoenix Suns look a lot different with the Chris Paul when it was just Devin Booker, even though Devin Booker was doing his thing. My point is, you need those older veteran play. That matters in this league. That's when you win, whether it's because it's physically different at 22 compared to 31, which plays a role, or it's the knowledge of the game, it's the craftiness of the game. There's so much that matters, where that's why you don't see a 24-year-old kid will a team to a championship against a 30, 31, 32-year-old franchise, a team that has someone on their franchise that is, at the prime of their career.
That's true. And I'll let you go with one last question. Are you worried about Doc Rivers in the playoffs?
Of course, always. And thanks so much for calling in. Always, always, always. As much as I want to give him credit for where he put this team without Ben Simmons, and he does deserve praise for that, we're pretty damn clear here on he's going to have bad rotations. He's going to have awful things play out. That's part of the Doc Rivers experience. There's no fooling us. So, yeah, I am. Does this team have enough, though, full roster-wise? They still have holes. They're not a perfect team yet. First off, we have no idea how they're going to play and have the chemistry play out. But ultimately, there's still issues with this basketball team. They don't have a good bench. They are weak in certain areas. Matisse Thybulle can't shoot the basketball if he's going to start and play a ton of minutes, and that will hurt you in the half-court set as well, right? So there's a lot of things here that are still on the table that you need to get better at. So right now, I can't just snap my fingers and demand them to go win it. Like, Daryl Morey still has some things to do. I don't know if you can necessarily find all of that in the buyout market. I do know that this makes it even more intriguing for whatever offseason moves are going to be in play. Not that I want to just look forward and look past what is about to happen here, which is a nice second half run for sure. But yeah, I mean, look, this team isn't just fixed automatically, but what they did do was they put you in a better position to succeed, and that's what I can ask for. If you maximize what you are capable of doing, that's all I can demand. And I think from a front office standpoint with Daryl Morey, they pulled the strings to put this Sixers organization based off of their circumstances in the best possible opportunity to compete right now with the rest of the teams in the league, and we'll see how everything plays out. But we'll also see what this fantastic caller has to say about the situation that we are in. Good morning. You're on with Broads.
Hi. What team you think is better? The Philadelphia with Jimmy Butler or the Philadelphia with James Harden?
Sorry, I got a little noise there. Jimmy Butler or James Harden?
I said, team you think is better, the Philadelphia with James Harden or with the Philadelphia with Jimmy Butler?
No,
what team you think is better?
Yeah, I think the all-around starting five that you had back then was, quote, more talented, if you will, right? But you got to remember that Ben Simmons wouldn't shoot a basketball. Look, the starting five of Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, J.J. Redick, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, that's a very, very, very stacked starting five when it comes to just their roster and on paper, even though on paper doesn't mean much. And Joel wasn't playing at this level. So, I mean, I think that was the more just individual talented team. But based off of where Joel is now, it's crazy. That's how much the one player makes that much of a difference. I think they have a better chance to compete now, even though that team was probably more talented, if that makes sense. But what do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
I think this team should be the favorite to win it this year. You guys have the best team in the East because you guys were able to keep your best wing, like your best defender. So I think you guys should be able to make it out of the East. My prediction will be Raptors, Philly, Eastern Conference Final.
Wow.
That's my prediction.
Now, here's one thing that I heard you say. You said you guys. And normally when you say you guys, that means you're not a fan of the 76ers. Are you a Raptors fan?
I am a Raptors fan, yeah. Raptors versus Philly. So I'm taking Philly in 6-game series. It will be fun.
Yeah, it would be if that's the case. Do you live in Toronto?
Yes, I live in Toronto.
Nice. Okay, nice. I went out to, I've been to Canada. I played hockey my whole life. I've been around Canada before I went to Calgary. I'll tell you what, there is nothing in Calgary. I got off the plane to go to Calgary, and I'm like, what? What is this? I saw, in like cartoons where like the wind's blowing and it's just a bunch of nothing. I'm like, what? No, I don't know if you're familiar with Banff and all that. I went to Lake Louise. I went to Banff and hit all those spots, but I love Canada. Canada's good place, man.
Yeah, what do you think about the Raptors? Do you think they can make some noise in the East this year?
I don't want to upset you, and I appreciate you taking the time to call in, but no, I don't see them at that point. And look, there's a big difference between regular season success and real playoff success, right? We saw that last year with Ben Simmons. We've seen that in the past. I know that they're making some, like, getting people a little bit excited, if you will. They're 31-23 in their last 10 games. They're 9-1. They're on an 8-game win streak. But do they really have enough firepower? I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, do they really, if we're talking about going to the Eastern Conference Finals, like Gary Trent Jr. went off the other night for 42 points. How about that? Siakam with 30 and 32. And there's way more to a basketball game than just a box score. And of course, they played the Houston Rockets in that effort. But my point is, you look at where this team is at right now, and can you really see a situation where they have enough pop to definitely do real damage and go far? I don't think so. We got a $5 donation coming in here. We've become one of the best teams in the East with the acquisition of Harden, but we've given the Nets the final Infinity Stone, a.k.a. Ben Simmons. I see that there's a lot of people a little nervous on what Ben Simmons can be. And let me be very clear here. There's a lot of people who end up with a ring because of others. And that doesn't downplay a role player. But if Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are going off for 35, I touched on this a bit yesterday, 35, 38, 40 points, 32, right? And they're doing everything. And Ben Simmons is just out there and he gives you 8, 6, and 6 or 9, 7, and 5, right? I mean, okay. I mean, they're winning a championship because of Kyrie and Kevin Durant. If one of those guys are unavailable, are you winning a championship because Ben Simmons is there and now his role gets bigger? Absolutely not. That's not what's occurring. So Ben Simmons is just sort of a role guy on the Nets who, don't get me wrong, plays good defense. And maybe the fact that he doesn't have to be anything special is easier for him with this whole mental side of whatever he is claiming, even though there's really nothing there. And he just made that as an excuse, which bothers me from a human being standpoint for sure. My point is, you take away one of those two players on Brooklyn, you're not winning a championship. So Ben Simmons and what we thought he could be, he ain't that. Not even close to that. Very far from that. Which, is a waste of a skill set that is top tier, or at least potentially could be top tier. No longer feel that way. I see, could you imagine if he's going to start shooting? You think now? You thought there was pressure on him shooting before, and now all of a sudden he's just going to pop threes out nonstop and be a stretch four or be a guy willing to take shots? Get out of here. We know what Ben Simmons is at this point. He's stubborn. And now there's even more pressure than ever before. I can't imagine him rising to the occasion because if he never did before, there's already added stuff to it. Well, he's motivated now. Is he? He wasn't motivated before? He needed this to motivate him? If so, man, what a fraud. If so, really, if that's what that's what you need to be motivated, is this? Whoo! Can't stand looking at his face. One of the most disappointing Philadelphia athletes of all time. Who's not disappointing, though, is going to be this next caller. I could feel it in my veins. Good morning. You're on with Broads.
Yo, Broads.
Yo. What's up, man?
Not much. Hey, man, I've been following your stuff since back before the Raptors series. I'm really happy for your success, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, and I just want to bring up a quick point. Obviously, I'm hyped about the Harden deal. Couldn't sleep last night watching too much crap. But
you know what's weird? Real quick, I don't want to cut you off, but I saw a lot of people last night, and they were grinding through all these highlights of James Harden. I went back last night like an idiot that I am, and I watched the Philadelphia Phillies highlights at 1:30 in the morning. I'm watching Luke Williams hit walk-offs, and I'm watching Jose Alvarado throw punches at Dominic Smith. I'm going, everyone else is super stoked on James Harden, yet I'm watching Luke Williams in the middle of July hitting a home run in Citizens Bank Park. I don't make much sense, but go ahead, continue.
That's all right, man. But yeah, I was thinking with the Seth Curry Seth Curry being traded, and the game against the Suns when he went 1 for 9, he didn't look right. He looked frankly fucked up. So I was thinking, do you think he knew something during that game, or had been maybe tipped off that he was going to get traded, and that's why he kind of didn't look right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair, right? To wonder how much they knew about all that. There's a reason why Doc Rivers canceled practice and said that, look, there's a human element to things. So, we're going to give them the day off or whatnot. So I do think that they kind of had a feeling that something was going to occur. And keep in mind the relationship from a family standpoint. So if Doc Rivers understands how much is being talked about with Daryl Morey and Sean Marks of the Brooklyn Nets, I'm sure that there was definitely something. But you know what? He had open look. Seth Curry, it's called being a shooter in the NBA. He had wide open looks.
That's true.
He took the jumpers he normally takes, and they just didn't fall. I mean, sure. Could you imagine that maybe not locked in as much as normal due to the human element? Yeah, maybe, but I think it's just more one of those nights than anything else. And I like Seth Curry a lot, but I'd be willing to trade a Seth Curry for this acquisition any day of the week.
Oh yeah. I'm sad to see him go. Like he's a great piece for our team, but if you can get James Harden, no, you got to let him go.
It's a no-brainer.
So yeah, I'm pumped, man. Can't wait to see James Harden in a Sixers uniform. I'm going to try to get to a game.
Me too. Can you imagine? See, I'm anticipating that first moment where maybe there's a screen set. He comes around the screen and just hits a deep three, and the place at the Wells Fargo Center goes nuts. Are you kidding me?
It's going to be insane, man.
It is.
I can't wait.
I know. Me neither, man. Thank you so much for calling in and for all the kind words. It's going to be a blast. That place is going to be just the place to be. And there's something awesome about the place to be. I remember, and once again, I know I'm kind of diving back into the Phillies, but remember the Phillies been on like an 8-9 game win streak, and they ended up sweeping the Mets. I was on the Fanatic the day after, or the night of. I was on. They swept the Mets. It was a Sunday game, and I was on the air as people were leaving Citizens Bank Park. There's something about that vibe and that feel. And right now, with James Harden being here, embrace it. People are like, oh, well, 5 years from now. You're worried about 5 years from now? You're worried about 7 years from now? Like, relax. Just enjoy the moment. There's nothing wrong with just living in the moment right now. And in a vacuum, let's just realize that one of the greatest scorers in NBA history is on your team, is on the 76ers. Is he in his prime? No, he's not 27. No, he's not 28. But I'm not downplaying what he brings to this team as a whole, and I'm just supposed to overlook this. Like, one reaction I got was, just relax and wait to see how it plays out. So hold on a second. You're telling me I'm not allowed to have any emotion? I'm not allowed to have any thoughts or any opinion on what just happened, and I can't be happy because I just have to wait to see how it plays out? No. Now, I get your concept. We don't fully know what's going to be generated here until we see it play out on the floor. And there's a lot of teams that get overhyped. The Sixers when they got Richardson and Horford. Or if you remember that Boston Celtics team with Kyrie, teams get overhyped all the time and it never plays out fully how you would like it to. I get that. I'm aware. I've watched a lot of basketball in my day and I've seen it happen a bunch of times. But even with that said, there's a balance of, I'm excited. I can't be excited. Sorry. I apologize. I can't be excited. I'm excited that we got someone on the line who wants to talk some Sixers hoops, though. Good morning. You're on with Broads.
Hey, Broads. Thanks for taking my call.
Well, thanks for calling in. How do you feel at 10:35 a.m. in the morning as we talk Sixers hoops?
I feel pretty good about it. And I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the Sixers' future. And the talk about how their window now is 2 years or 3 years max.
Okay.
To get the most out of James Harden. And I disagree. I think the Sixers are in a great position to contend still for 6-7 years into the future. They didn't give up Tyrese Maxey. They did not give up Thibault, obviously. Joel Embiid is 27. I mean, I think he's still got at least 4 more great years in him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We'll see what happens with Harden. Obviously, we've got him locked in through next year. But I don't think that this trade killed the Sixers in the future. And I know there's all this talk now about how the Sixers strengthened the Nets, and now the Nets are going to be this huge force for years to come. They got 2 first-round picks, which, by the way, those first-round picks are almost meaningless. They're going to be at the end of the first round next year. And then in 2027, we'll see, but it's a projected pick in 2027.
Yeah, if you're sitting here today and you're upset the fact that they gave up these picks and in 2027 it's protected, then you're in the totally wrong mindset. And that's a shit. Like, come on. You're upset about a 2027 protected first round pick? Please.
It's ridiculous. And then we gave up Drummond, who likely was not going to be with us next year, right? In all honesty, we weren't going to re-sign Drummond. He's probably going to get a decent payday. And the biggest hit for us was giving up Seth Curry. Obviously, that's what fans are most upset about. But you have to give up something, right, to get James Harden.
Absolutely.
And I feel good about it. I know that everyone is saying the Nets won this deal. I think that Nets fans are going to change their tune once they see Ben Simmons.
I think both teams kind of worked out where, James Harden didn't want to be there. He goes to a different city. Ben Simmons didn't want to be there. It could be a situation where both teams kind of benefit from it. But I guess I'll label it a pushback, but in terms of like the 6, 7, 8 year thing or whatever, when you said that, it kind of made me think about the Eagles quarterback position. I think we're in this situation where we look for a quarterback that can be here for 10 years. Let's go find that franchise guy. And I always say whenever someone brings that up is that's so long. Do you realize how much this roster has changed over the last 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, where if we talk about a 7-year window, just so much happens in 7 years, let alone 3 years, that, I can't think that far ahead within, we can contend for 7, because realistically, this roster has changed so much year to year as it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it has. And we definitely need to maximize on Joel's MVP season. So I know that there's a lot of fans that probably would have wanted to wait until the offseason to sign James Harden.
Yeah, and that's a little silly to me, and thank you so much for calling in. The only reason why it's silly to me is when you get a chance to get James Harden, you get James Harden. You don't think, hold on a second, let me wait, I'll try and get that. At some point, you're trying to get too cute. At some point, you're trying to get a little too aggressive here, and I think that's exactly what would have happened if that's the case. If you're going to wait, like you're telling me, let's see if I can pull this off. Like you're trying too much at that point. It's so hard to get a star. If you're telling me it takes Drummond, Seth Curry to go get a star, you go get a star. That shouldn't hold you up because you never know what can happen in the offseason. You're trying too much. This isn't NBA 2K, and I feel that's what happens is you're so accustomed online or on video games where, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll try another scenario, and I'll throw this in a package deal. This is real life. There's other things that occur. Now, what I need to do here is I need to turn off the notifications. As you can hear, sometimes when we're getting some calls, we're also getting a little bit of noise of other people trying to call in. So I want to try and take off my notifications here. Now, I don't know if that's something I can do while we're kind of just hanging out, but maybe I can look for it as we take another call here, and we'll go right back to the Anytime Hotline. Hey, what's going on, man? You're on the air.
Hey, what's going on, bros?
Hey, man, thanks so much for calling in. How you feeling today?
Oh, dude, I'm feeling pumped, honestly. I can't understand why all over Twitter people are talking about how we got fleeced out of this deal, how Ben's going to go over to Brooklyn and turn into the monster that we all hope to. I don't see that happening on any other team. I didn't see it happening in Philly for the longest time. So they got James Harden for essentially Seth Curry, 2 picks, and Andre Drummond. I personally feel that Andre Drummond was the biggest loss because he's a guy who will go and get you 10 rebounds, in big games. And Seth Curry hasn't been playing that well recently. He went 1 for 6 and put up 3 points the other night. I love Seth Curry. He did so many great things for the city and had so many good games. But, you know, you want James Harden, you want to win a championship, you got to give up what you got to give up.
Yeah, I'm with you. And look, I think that, I mean, Seth Curry is a loss, don't get me wrong. And Andre Drummond for about 10 minutes of play in the postseason is going to be something that you lose. I mean, let's be realistic. You have an opportunity to be, like, we went through Greg Monroe. We went through Amir Johnson. We went through Norvell Pell. Andre Drummond holding the fort down when he has his good nights. Don't get me wrong, there are some tough ones too, where he throws up obnoxious air balls, or not air balls, but those floaters that hit the back iron and it's miserable to see. He has some tough moments, but, you know, you do lose that. I don't know how you say that you got fleeced, though, or Ben Simmons is going to magically turn things around. I think the difference is the expectations for Ben Simmons are now not as high, and it changes because you have superstar talent there, where you don't demand Ben Simmons to be a superstar. And that's why when people from the national side of things, or who are studying what this means for Brooklyn, look at Ben Simmons as someone who's going to turn it around, it's because he doesn't need to be what we envision him being, and which is a shame because he's wasting part of his skill set and he's not maximizing what he can provide from an NBA player standpoint. But realistically, he could just be a role-playing defender that makes some nice assists out there, and you'll be good to go because you have Kevin Durant giving you 45 points.
Mm-hmm. I can't see why all these guys on Twitter are going like, it's not even just Brooklyn fans. It's so many people that are saying, "Oh, you're giving up a quitter for a quitter." It's like, dude.
Yeah, and you know what, though? Here's the thing. If he is, and thank you so much. Sorry, I want to figure out this whole thing so we can get the notifications off. If this is a situation where you are trading a quitter for a quitter, right, in theory, well, one wasn't working for you. So am I going to bash them for making an attempt to get something else done? You know what I mean? Okay, cool. We got the notifications off. Bang, bang, bang. All right. They should all be off. They should all be off. We'll try this again. We'll see how that works. Okay. I think we should be good. I'll take them all off. If you are in a situation where you have one quitter and then you try another quitter, I mean, do you want to just keep running your head into the wall? Do you want to constantly keep banging your head against the wall over and over and over and over and over again? Or at some point, do you say, let's try something new? And oh, by the way, the guy that I'm trying has the ability to give me 30 on any night. The guy that I'm trying out is one of the best that we've seen in this league and can give you a chance of 10 assists, can dish the rock around. Once again, do not forget the power that he has when facilitation is on the line. He can facilitate. He can find guys. He can get you going. He can get players available. He can get players available on the court. He can move the rock in a very beneficial way for a lot of these players. Now, it looks like Stephen A. Smith said something very interesting that I will bring up as soon as I get an opportunity to, but I definitely want to hear from all of you out there, and we'll continue that. So with that, we'll rock right back to the Anytime Hotline. Good morning, man.
How you doing, bro? Thanks for taking my call, man.
Thanks for calling in, man. I'm doing well. I'm excited. I got good vibes. The Sixers play tonight. You know what I mean? There's a game on tonight. Last night there wasn't. So I'm feeling good. We're heading into the weekend with a big smile on my face.
Yes, definitely the good vibes, man. It's just one thing I wanted to touch on, and I totally agree with what you're saying. I feel like people are looking at the trade the wrong way. Essentially, Ben Simmons wasn't playing for us. He was a $30 million hold on our cap that wasn't doing anything for us. So if you ask anybody in their right mind, would you trade Steph Curry and Andre Drummond with 2 bad picks for James Harden? You do it 10 times out of 10. Ben Simmons was basically cap filler to me.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. I guess the counter argument that others are bringing up is less about, okay, now you have Harden, but are you willing to pay him that insane amount of money until he's age 38? And then my response would be, I understand how much that is, but you have to take a risk to go try and win a championship. And yeah, I will take that risk to try and win a championship, big money to sign James Harden.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. James Harden could be a monster with Embiid in that pick and roll.
Yeah, pick and roll. I mean,
Embiid
Embiid likes to pick and if it's pick and pop, if it's perimeter play, it don't matter. Like we've seen Joel Embiid get doubled constantly within seconds of getting the ball in his possession. You can't do that as easily as you think you can when James Harden's hanging out as the alternative now.
Yeah, that's true, man. 6 and 4.
Sixers in 4. I love it. That's amazing. Sixers in 4. Are we at that point now where we're going Sixers in 4? You should feel excited. You should feel excited. All right, I'm pretty sure I figured out the notification side of things, so we'll see how that plays out. So Stephen A. Smith says that Tobias Harris going from the number 2 option, which I don't even know if it's fair to call him a number 2 option. It was sort of a combination between him, Seth Curry, or Tyrese Maxey. Was Tobias Harris really a, quote, number 2 option for the Philadelphia 76ers to this point this season? I don't think I can say that. Now that he's going to a number 3, it's going to affect him. I disagree. If anything, I think it benefits Tobias Harris. If he's in that 3 or 4 role, I think it puts him in a better position compared to a, quote, number 2. And I can't even say that. Now, he's been playing better basketball in the month of January as we enter somewhat of that midway point. But you're telling me that's where we're at right now, where we're so devastated and disappointed that this might screw up Tobias Harris going from 2 to something else. I mean, if that's your worst situation you have right now, you're in a damn good spot, Stephen A. Smith. You're better than that. You're better than that. Come on. We've all seen Toby. Less pressure is better. The more you push him down, the better. That doesn't mean he can't play. It doesn't mean he's not good. It doesn't mean he can't give you 20, 6, and 5 and be very efficient and have one of those games where he's constantly making the right decision. And when he gets the basketball, he knows what he's going to do with it. That's all in play. That's real. At the same time, though, if you have a Harden, Embiid, Harden, Maxey, Tobias, a combination of them being the 3rd option, that's goofy. Now, what else is goofy is if you don't utilize DeSimone Jewelers. Look, listen to me right now. Valentine's Day is right around the corner. DeSimone Jewelers is my jeweler. I will never go to another place again. They work with you to get the best design at the most reasonable price you will find in the entire market. They're a family-owned business located in Haddonfield, New Jersey, previously in Jewelers Row. I got a beautiful necklace. I got my engagement ring. I got earrings. The list goes on and on and on. Everything I acquired from DeSimone Jewelers has just been A+, and Kara has enjoyed every single piece of it. Will, Lou, Nick, and Mike, they treat you like you are a DeSimone. Custom jewelry repairs, appraisals, watch repairs, battery replacement, and so much more. If you tell them that Broad sent you, they will hook you up. DeSimoneJewelers.com is their website. Once again, you'd be goofy not to utilize their offers and what they provide. They teach you, they educate you about what you're buying. There's a connection to the piece of jewelry that you will be giving to your significant other. So make sure you utilize them and go to DeSimoneJewelers.com. Darius chimes in with a $5 donation. Morning, Broads. Is it true that Seth Curry is a free agent this offseason? No, he's not. He's definitely not. I'm pretty sure he's got 2 years left on his deal. I'll look that up, though, just to be 100% on that. But I'm pretty positive he's got a couple more years left on his deal. Yeah, he's on this season. He's at $8.2 million. Next season, $8.5 million. And then in 2023, he is a free agent from there. So thank you so much, Darius, for the $5 donation. It is not possible to land him in free agency. It is possible, though, to hear from you out there, 856-442-9805. That's the Anytime Hotline, and that's where we are going right now to our next caller. Hey, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm having a great day.
That's good to hear. So what is on your mind as you sit here and analyze James Harden, number 1 on that jersey, playing for the Philadelphia 76ers?
Well, I got to be honest with you. If I could just tell you a quick story, or the first thing I did
Sure.
when I saw the notification, I'm one of those guys where it'll be like 1 a.m. in the morning, and I'll just be watching like the Mariners play the Oakland A's because I'm a sicko, right?
Wow.
So
I am in the same exact boat as you. That's incredible.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, I was watching this this game. It was late. I was watching the Warriors and the Rockets, and it was, you might remember it. It was that game where like Kevin Durant obviously went out of bounds trying to save a ball, and then right at the end of the game, and then Golden State went up like 2 points.
Yes.
And I remember James Harden hit this three with like Draymond Green tackling him and like another guy right on him too, and just won the game. And that was the first thing I thought of when I saw the notification pop on my phone.
You know what? If we could
And,
somehow study the analytics of the Philadelphia world or people around Philadelphia last night searching James Harden highlights, I wonder if it would be like an all-time record-breaking situation where this entire geographical area was nonstop searching and how many people did that. Because I'd imagine, and I know you're bringing up obviously a different time or whatnot, but just, that made me think about it. It would probably an all-time high, you'd think, no?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everyone in the Philadelphia area has got to be Googling, James Harden highlights, except for you watching the Phillies.
I know, I'm an idiot. I'm such a mark. Even right now, I got on my Phillies crew neck for some reason, and I had the goosebumps. I really hate to do this because this is a James Harden show, but I'm watching Bryce Harper. He had a one of the situations was a why am I drawing a blank here? Home run, inside the park home run, and he's swiping home. Luke Williams, Brad Miller in Wrigley Field, 3 home runs. I'm losing my mind at 1:30 a.m. James Harden signed with the Sixers. You think you're a sicko? I'm a sicko.
That's crazy. I mean, I'm with you. The Phillies are like my first love, so I feel you there. But
hopefully we get baseball.
To tie it back in.
Yes.
To tie it back in, like honestly, it feels like when we got Bryce Harper, it's like that surreal thing. It's like you almost, we've been let down so many times, like, oh, is LeBron coming to Philly? It just feels crazy that it actually happened.
That's a great point. You're absolutely right. I brought that up a little bit earlier. When you live in the moment and just think about where we're at, when I see the graphics on ESPN, when I see the Trade Talks SVP last night, Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter, right, late night, and you see that James Harden got traded to the Philadelphia 76ers, and you see his beard, and you see the 76ers logo next to it and all, it's like, what? Wait. What? James Harden? 76ers? That's real? All those highlights over the years of him cashing threes in people's faces. All those situations where he's breaking down defenders at will, nonstop, dribbling in between his legs, step back 3, bang! End of the game. Defense clamping down. Not good enough, though, because James Harden creates the separation that he's looking for. And I'm with you. He's older now. He's in the early 30s. But don't downplay that. This is a grown man's league. It's about being more mature, being physically different than being 26, 25, 24. I thought I perfectly laid it out. Let me know the last time a 24-year-old, 25-year-old just willed a championship to a city, to a team, going up against an opponent that has 31, 32-year-olds. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And if you point one out, congratulations. I'll take the norm over the one outlier. There's always going to be outliers in every discussion that we have. But let's look at the percentages. Let's look at the average. Let's look at the mean of what we're discussing. There's nothing wrong with being 31, 32, 33 years old and think about winning a championship. This isn't the NFL where you want guys at 25, 26, 27. This is a different league. It's physically more toxic. There's way more smarts and knowledge that needs to happen to play this game at a high level in the postseason. And has James Harden had postseason woes? There's no doubt about it. But there's a difference between postseason woes earlier in your career compared to getting a chance to play next to a Joel Embiid. And by the way, this is a Joel Embiid that's taken over the league by storm. So you're in a totally different circumstance. Each year, each season, each opponent, everything involved within a playoff series is not necessarily fully relatable to previous losses. Different players on your team, you're better. Joel Embiid is significantly better. James Harden had his failures. And for anyone worried that he's a quitter. And for the last couple of years now, he's demanded out of town in a couple of different spots. I can't downplay that happened. But we also can't just forget that we're discussing a $30 million individual in Ben Simmons who held this team hostage. And at some point, you have to do something about it. And based off of all your limitations on what you can get back in return, to at least get something respectful back, that is, without just handing him away. This is what you get back? How can you be disappointed in this? How could you be upset with that? I don't want to play. I don't want to show up. Well, Daryl Morey had leverage due to the contract situation, which helped. But let's use the full body of work on where we're at. Let's study exactly how this thing all played out. Guess what? How you don't praise this guy? You still have Maxey. You still have Thibault. Not that I was ever afraid of losing Maxey, because I wasn't. It was clear and evident right from the jump that he was going to be an untouchable. I could live without Matisse Thibault. But the fact that you have him with a team that's struggling defensively and can use all the defense that they can get, fine. All right. I am happy that you have that. I won't cry about it. I probably might point out a bunch of times, though, how much his offensive deficiencies kill me inside and really do eat me alive, because it's hard for me to comprehend knocking down 2 threes in the first quarter of a game against the Phoenix Suns and then leaving the game at the end when you're walking back towards the tunnel with 2 field goals next to your name. It quite honestly is unacceptable and bothers me insanely. But that's where we're at. And based off of where you were, you're in a good spot. All right, I'm just making sure everything's still going here. Making sure nothing popped off on Twitter that I'm missing. Scrolling through the Twitter sphere. You know, it's a big day here. It's a big day. It's the day after. You know, the instant reaction is just screaming, googly-eyed, excited. Now, still googly-eyed and excited, but you get your time to sleep on it. You see all the graphics. Hold on, did Kyle Neubeck just tweet something out? He did. Sources familiar with the situation tells Philly Voice that James Harden did not opt into next year of his deal yesterday, as reported elsewhere. Sixers and Harden both feel confident and feeling good about where they stand long term, but an important detail nonetheless. Hold on a second. Essentially, Harden would have to opt into next year prior to the deal being completed. Did not do so. He would have to wait until end of the year to opt in, or obviously could not. Well, hold on a second. This is worded strange. As you could tell, I have a tough time sometimes reading things fully out. Okay, let's repeat this. We heard the first part. Source familiar with the situation tells Philly Voice that James Harden did not opt into next year of his deal yesterday, as reported elsewhere. Sixers and Harden are both confident and feeling good about where they stand long term, but an important detail nonetheless. Okay, we're good on that part. Let's get to this next portion. Essentially, Harden would have to opt into next year prior to the deal being completed. Did not do so. Okay, so now that the deal is completed and he didn't do it, he now would have to wait until the end of the year to opt in, or could simply opt out and sign a new long-term deal. That was not that hard for me to comprehend the second time through, so I don't know why it took me that long to figure it out. Am I worried, though? No, I don't think that this changes my thoughts. I don't think that this changes anything. I anticipate Daryl Morey's relationship with James Harden going a long way, knowing how much they want one another, and they have been for quite some time, and they finally get an opportunity. And also, I do think that there's validity to what was being reported by Woj, which was James Harden is very aware of where he's at now publicly and public perception on hopping around teams and jumping around town a little bit. Maybe he wants that to end. And if he can just solidify a spot and know that that spot is filled with someone determined the way that Joel Embiid is, then all right, let's rock and roll and let's move forward. I'm not jumping to another team. I'm not going to another city. I'm not going to a different spot. I've done that already. I want to try and lower this thing a bit. Let's lessen the noise on everything surrounding who I am in James Harden, and let's just camp down. Let's put the clamps down on where we're going to stay. Now, maybe that's just an optimistic, terrible view of thinking about it all, because clearly he has shown if he's unhappy, he wants out. But it has been on the record now that he's aware of what people are saying. He's aware on how much he has basically got himself out of town due to frustration. He doesn't like the way that it's being discussed around nationally, and maybe that plays a role in this. But I just feel bigger it's Daryl Morey and his relationship. That's the most important part. That's what's going to get him to settle more than the alternative. He won't settle just to settle, but when you're playing with an Embiid, I'm sure that brings it to the next level for sure. The chat is flying here to the right as chats and texts are coming in. There are open phone lines here at 856, excuse me, I almost threw out the Fanatic number, at 856-442-9805. That's 856-442-9805. That is the Anytime Hotline number. If you want to hop in and talk, we can definitely do so right now with some open lines for sure, as here we go. We right on the money. We have our next caller. Welcome on in. You're on with Broads.
What's up, man? First and foremost, dude, your channel is amazing. I love the fact that you're growing. I've been there since day one. You are the man, bro.
Thank you. Thank you so much, man. That means so much to me to hear that. And I'm glad, one, we get to communicate right now and talk. And then I'm just so honored that you spent your time listening to me scream for all of these years.
Dude, in your thumbnails, I don't think I've ever seen any thumbnails that are better than the ones you put out. So
look, it's just
doing
pure.
Your thing.
I tell myself, okay, on the count of three, let me know how you feel about this game. 1, 2, 3. Then I just give it like I don't know if you're watching the stream, it's probably delayed, but it's just, Broads, tell your followers what you feel like in this moment, and that's what we get.
Yeah, and congrats on the 97.5, man, too. You deserve it.
Thank you so much. I have a lot of fun, and the amount of people that always chime in that goes, dude, I watched you from this, and now here you are. It really is. Without you guys, there's none of this. So I can't thank you guys enough, for real.
Yeah, dude. To my point, well, I got a couple points if that's okay.
Yeah.
If Daryl Morey does not ring the bell on the first home game, I don't know what we're doing, because that dude can literally turn water into wine, bro. The man made a miracle happen, and I don't care what people say. We got rid of Ben Simmons. Big, fast passer guy. We got rid of him. So
not only that, you know what? People are also just overlooking what he did with Josh Richardson and Al Horford. Now Boston's trying to get rid of these guys.
Right.
Like, he did more. I would say if you look at all his trades, and I think I saw someone throw this out there. I forget exactly who it was. It might have been Crossing Broad, but regardless, if you look at all the moves he made, the only one that comes to mind that was like a pure failure might have been George Hill. Other than that, everything's made so much sense and kind of panned out.
Bro, I can't. When they got George Hill, I was ecstatic. I love George Hill, and I was like, what's going on in the playoffs here, buddy?
Well, it's to be fair, I mean, it makes sense in terms of you get a veteran guard. It made sense logically. Sometimes you can do the right move logically before you see it pan out, and then it doesn't work maybe the way you would have thought it did. But it doesn't mean the mindset heading into the acquisition was a poor one.
Right. Think of Andrew Bynum. We thought he was going to be fine, and he screwed up bowling. So
Andrew Bynum. I did not expect today to ever. I even brought up Luke Williams. Okay, Luke Williams for the Phillies today. I did not expect an Andrew Bynum. That might be a violation on your part to bring that name up today.
I'm sorry. I'm still a Sixers fan, though.
All right, cool. All right, what else you got?
All right. The other thing is, a lot of people are saying, oh, Daryl Morey got fleeced in this deal. The Nets won this deal. I can't tell you how many people I've seen on social media say that the Sixers lost the deal because they lost bench presence. They don't realize that there is a buyout market, and there is some pretty good, I'll say they're buyout candidates, but Goran Dragic's on there, Eric Bledsoe. There's people that can fill the holes. Daryl Morey's not done, and he knows what he's doing. I don't understand why people say, oh, we lost the deal. We lost all our bench pieces. Yes, Andre Drummond's amazing, but he's going to leave anyway. He was going to leave anyways. He's a 1-year deal. Seth Curry, he's a streaky shooter. I love Seth Curry. I'm not going to lie, but he's a streaky shooter. And in the playoffs, he was really good, but he hasn't been the same like the last 2-3 weeks, whatever. we didn't get rid of Matisse and we didn't get rid of Maxey, and those are my two biggest points right there.
Sure. And thank you so much for all of the kind words, for all the appreciation, for everything that you do listening to the show. Thank you. I have no. I don't even know how I was going to structure that sentence into something that makes sense. Let me repeat that. I don't understand how anybody can look at this and say the 76ers got fleeced. Got fleeced? To me, and I'm a Sixers fan saying this, I think the Nets got something positive, and I think the Sixers got something positive. It wasn't working out in Brooklyn. Now, granted, a lot of that had to do with their injuries and Kevin Durant not being available and things of that nature, and Kyrie with the vaccination status. But for whatever it is, there was a collective group of reasons why they couldn't figure it out. And okay, so what do you do when that's the case? You try something different. They got pieces. You don't need, from a Nets point of view, you don't need Ben Simmons to be an elite player. You don't. You have your elite players. You just need him to be a good defender and be a guy. That wasn't the case here. And quite frankly, that's disrespectful to the skill set that Ben Simmons has, that we are now lowering the bar to just being a guy. He's just a guy there. And it is what it is. He's just going to be a guy, and they can get away with it because they have elite superstardom already. That's reality of the situation. So you're not demanding the same of Ben Simmons. People are realizing that you set the bar so low for Ben that that's changing and dictating the way that you're feeling about this trade. It worked out for both parties. The Brooklyn Nets got something new, and the Sixers got something new. You also have the Joe Harris injury for Brooklyn. All right, now you put in a Seth Curry in that slot, and you have that three-point spacing that you're looking for. It's not, I don't think anyone got fleeced. I think both teams got good players for them. We got a $5 donation coming in from my guy, Pags. What's up, Pags? What's happening, bro? You're the man. Does Harden play tonight? I haven't seen anything in regards to James Harden and when it is possible. We do have some breaking Flyers news, though. Sean Couturier had back surgery this morning. Jeez. Okay. What? Oh, hold on. Anthony Gargano just tweeted this out in regards to James Harden and him playing. Sources: James Harden will not play for the Sixers this weekend. The team is taking the hamstring injury seriously. The hope is that he is able to make his debut next Tuesday against the Celtics. Harden has not played since February 2nd. Okay, so I don't know if this is just something to play the game, right? Sort of like Ben Simmons taking time off so it doesn't look like the situation of the mental health was just mocked and made fun of. Not made fun of, but put him in a... They didn't make fun of it. They put it... Kind of did, though. Kind of did. They used it as an excuse for him to not play basketball. So, to a degree, they mocked it for sure. They hold him out so it doesn't look as bad. Maybe they're doing the same thing with James Harden right now with the hamstring injury, which is significantly different than what Ben Simmons did and so much different than mental health because people go through that every single day seriously to an extreme level, and he's just using it to get out of town in a place that he's unhappy with, which just pisses me off even more and makes me hate him even more than I already do. And honestly, in terms of real hate, I don't really hate Furkan Korkmaz. It's just fun, right? At this point, it's sort of like a joke that we have here and all that. I don't really hate people. I hate Ben Simmons with a passion because he's the exact opposite of what you teach an athlete when it comes to being a professional, when it comes to really focusing on your craft and putting everything you have into everything you do. I've used this example before. I don't care what you do, but you got to handle your business the right way. Finance, a doctor, a dentist, marketing, if you work in retail, if you're a manager somewhere, Chick-fil-A, it doesn't matter. He does the exact opposite of how you're supposed to approach life. And it's just sort of a defining moment, I guess, if you will, of how he views life in general, which is a disgrace. But it looks like against the Boston Celtics. Is that one in Boston? That game might be in Boston. Let's see here. Take out my handy dandy schedule. Oh, no, that's home. A home game at the Wells Fargo Center. Now, our previous caller brought up the fact that Daryl Morey should ring the bell or he should do the bell. What I think should happen is James Harden should. I think James Harden should do the bell. Now, that would be A+. That would be tremendous. Just like this next person is going to bring some great insight, A+ insight, and some great knowledge. That's at least what I expect. We'll find out in 1 second. Welcome on in. You're on with Broads. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today? How
I'm doing.
are you feeling emotionally?
I'm not. I mean, I feel great. Just looking back at what Brooklyn gave for James Harden just a year ago, I think we made off with bandits. But Morey needs to, make some moves in the buyout market, get a backup center back here. Just imagine if he brought in Dragic.
Yeah, I mean, I would love definitely another guard. We anticipated maybe a Patty Mills in the mix, and unfortunately that wasn't the case. So, that definitely limits on what you can do there. I'm with you. You need some sort of guard. You need some sort of center or whatnot. I don't know how much Paul Millsap has left in the tank. I was listening a little bit to NBC Sports Philadelphia yesterday at 6 o'clock where they had that breaking news. The Mark Jackson was on there, and Danny and all those people were on there, and they mentioned Charles Bassey's name, maybe getting another opportunity. But as much as I give him credit for working hard and all that, it's just hard for me to put all my eggs in one basket for a Charles Bassey if you're thinking about making a real run at this thing, even though we're only talking about 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes or so off the bench.
Yeah, we just need that backup center, man. The past couple of postseasons when Embiid wasn't on the floor and we had Greg Monroe out there and all of that, we were slipping in points. The plus minus were way in the minus. So
yeah, I don't know what to expect.
But I'm super pumped.
Me too. I don't know what to expect, though, from Paul Millsap. Now, clearly he's cooked compared to once he was. He averages 11 minutes per game, and that's probably we need maybe like 9 or 10. Can he hold the fort down? Now, honestly, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. If you could find something better in the buyout market, I'm not against that, but we got to keep in mind buyout market players are buyout market players for a reason, and there's going to be a lot of teams that are out to get these guys. And as you alluded to, you have to look at the point guard position possibly as well, unless we throw this in there, which is Harden's your point guard and Tyrese Maxey is now your primary ball handler off the bench as a sixth man, and that kind of takes over that secondary point guard role that you're looking for.
Right. Yep. So, I mean, let's go let's go Sixers.
That's okay. Let's go. Was he going to go, let's go Flyers? Or was he going to go, let's go fucking Sixers? I don't know what we were going for there. I don't know where we were at. I don't know what they do at the center position, though. And I don't know what they do at the point guard position either. I am so fascinated to see how they work this rotation through and their thoughts and their beliefs on their starting rotation. There's a few I've put out there. Harden, Maxey, a combination of Green or Thibault at the 3, Tobias and Embiid. Or you can do Harden, Thibault, Green, Tobias, Embiid, and then Tyrese Maxey is your sixth man. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. Or you could do, I did that. I just did Green / Thibault. So there's a couple ways. Someone mentioned Tobias Harris as your 3. There's no way I'm moving him off the 4. And I don't even know what you would do there. What would you do if you slide him into the 3? I don't see what that changes whatsoever. What, Paul Millsap? I don't know where that person was thinking. That would never happen in a billion years. Let's make sure that that's very clear. That would never happen in a million years. Anything Tobias Harris moving positions just doesn't make sense. He's a perfect fit at the 4 for where this team is, and let's see where that stands. If you ever feel the need to move him, that's a problem. That's a problem. That might have been, now that I'm thinking about it, though, that hypothetical might have been before the trade happened. And that was more about, okay, if you acquire some other pieces in another trade, and that would slide Tobias to a 3 because you got a 4 that you felt comfortable with in the trade. I think that was more along the lines of where that was from a hypothetical, in theory type of conversation. Let's just see and keep continuing this Twitter stuff to see if anything pops up here. As you know, this is the time of the day where things totally get crazy and totally get wild for sure. John Clark now saying, I'm told James Harden is not expected to make his Sixers debut tonight or tomorrow night at home. He will be arriving in Philly this weekend, and he will be assessed by the Sixers performance staff. Maybe Tuesday against the Celtics. Makes a lot of sense. People are talking about Brett Brown right now, giving him the opportunity to ring the bell. That's hysterical. All right, 856-442-9805. Phone lines are open on the Anytime hotline right now as we speak. I don't know how much time we have left. I might be winding down a little bit, but I had a blast today. We're going to be implementing this a lot more just to be transparent with everyone. I think after the games, we might do some more live stuff, some more live Anytime hotline calls. I still envision doing my post-game podcast the same way, where I open up and I give you my opening monologue for about 15 minutes or so, and then flood on over to the Anytime hotline. So keeping the same stylistic play here of Sports Talk with Broads and everything that we've done over the years, but maybe after the game, going live in this type of setting, taking your phone calls, and also maybe reacting to some Anytime hotline text messages or voicemail boxes as well, some voicemail box calls as well. But maybe just kind of, just trying some new things here and having some fun. And I did this way back in the day when I think I had about 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers, and it was a lot different when we had call-ins back in the old school days. The other day, I looked up some old Sports Talk with Broad stuff just to get a look at where we are now compared to where we were in the beginning, and all the ideas I tried and all the concepts I went through. And it's just been an amazing journey. And I can't thank everybody enough who's hanging out with me this morning, kicking it, talking some Sixers, talking some James Harden. And it's been a blast. And it always is a blast. And I love you guys so much. Without you, there is none of this. So thank you. And I guess that's kind of where we will shut things down. So a few reminders. D. Simone Jewelers, their information's down below. SeatGeek, if you're looking to buy any tickets for any sort of event, go to some of these Sixers games. Promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page will get you $20 off. I mean, it's a no-brainer. That's for damn sure. Get yourself to a game. SeatGeek, promo code BROADS. Broads Media on TikTok. Make sure you hit the follow button there. And then lastly, tonight, we'll have a post-game live stream tonight after the Sixers Thunder game, and we'll hang out again then. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time.